Here again, been here quite a bit as usual. Since the last video we have pulled the cam covers off, rocker covers off, done the valve clearance, checked valve springs, valve spring pressures, and they're all good. We've done a bit of work on the supercharger installation, that's going all right. And now we have the engine dangling up there. We didn't want to pull the engine completely apart because it shouldn't be necessary. It's only done like 10 hours since last year really. But we did want to have a look at all the bearings in the bottom of the engine and just check that nothing's going wrong, because the last thing, find out in the early part of next year or at the next race that we've got an issue, because it takes time to get all the bits and that would really mess things up. So we just pulled the first shell off, actually, off number 7, and it's all looking good. So we're just going to go through all of the main bearings. You can see it there, she's just dangling up in the air with the sump off. So we'll get them off tonight and check it. As long as that's all right, we can put the sump back on tonight and know that we can proceed with everything else, and then move forward. We're hoping really that we can get this back together and maybe do some test runs at Christmas, because I'll show you, we've got some other things going on. So we've changed to a Whipple because, as I said in the other one, we just couldn't get the bits we needed. And maybe I'll do another video because it's got some covers on it. But the Whipple works different. So I've got both the blowers here, or both the superchargers. One's a blower, one's a screw compressor. So I'll show you the differences on them. So we'll go with the old one first. So this is a Littlefield 1471. So it's the sort of largest, one of the largest they do. So as you can see here, as it rotates, it picks up the air from the top. It's got these seals on it, and then it just pushes it down to the bottom and into the engine. As it's doing so, it's turning at a rate that compresses it in there, but there is some drag. So you've got these seals. You can just see it doesn't really spin, on it. You can turn it, but it's not running on. Now if you have a look in here, so you can see this one here. So one of these rotors has 3 lobes on it and the other one has 5, so they spin at different speeds, but they're timed to almost touch but not quite. And then it's got a coating on here, so there's no seals, so this just rolls on. There's just almost just no drag. It's just easy to turn, and that's going to help make it more efficient, which makes it work better. So it's a much more modern sort of setup, this one. So that's the difference on them. And this pulls forward as it compresses and into the engine. So it's going to pull the air and fuel towards the front of the engine and discharge at the front end of this. Now, the old one, as you can see, just with the slight skew on the rotors, it actually pushes a little bit more towards the rear. So it's going to push the fuel forward and the air forward more into the engine. So there's a possibility that's going to change the way things run. So we're going to need to make sure we keep an eye on that when we run the engine. And also the pulley size, the displacement of this is different. So this one, although it looks smaller, it's longer, it displaces more than this one. So this has to spin at a higher rate, and we don't know exactly how much. No one really does. But it's going to change the way things work. So we're going to need to do quite a bit of testing to make sure that's right, and we don't want to do it as race season approaches. So we're going to try and see if we can get some testing in around the Christmas time, and it'll be a bit cold, but hopefully if we can get some flat weather, we'll get some testing done. Yeah, I'll let you know how it goes.